Been through it.
This is Real Deal Sports Talk. It is May 14th, 2018, and what you're about to hear is the Barbarians' new track, Eloquent Brilliance.
I'm proving that I'm battle tested since adolescence. You witnessing what is manifested. This alliance, a combination of rhyme and shines, rocking our hypothesis, actualizing the highest science. Table of elements occupying my molecules. High off the chronic while harmonizing my chronicles. Running shit since Kid and Play did the running man. Black man scramble on land like Randall Cunningham. From the jump and the introduction was so impressive. Flow aggressive, but always calm, cool, collected. Hater proof can't extinguish when I blaze the boot. Bar sharp as razor edge claws on the saber tooth. Save the youth like a dedicated educator. Rising to the top and I ain't even take the escalator. Never in the dark when you got the light to shine through it. Take the beat and fine tune it when we put the rhyme to it. That's right. Yo. This rap is pathetic, embarrassing. Niggas is effortless, I'm ruffling feathers. Cause I'm spitting better than any dude in the new era. Incredible rhyme spitting, articulate, sauce dripping thick with this flash etiquette. I'm way better than niggas wish they could ever get. At this point in time, I felt it was evident. The most clever with words, ever lyrics, I'm setting the precedent. It's clearly a different level when Kellen spit the most benevolence. 90% intelligence, 10 is eloquence. Rhyming is a science, I'm just combining the elements. My literary endeavors deserve the highest merits. When it comes to writing, there's no one near 'em, there's no comparisons. All these rappers will feel disparaged, cause it's apparent that the gap in town is pretty glaring. Just check the narrative. Yeah, and there it is.
All right. It is May 14th, 2018. That was the Barbarians' new track, Eloquent Brilliance. We'll have another track at the end of the show, Blood Money Freestyle, a Vivid Scientific from the Barbarians. We'll have that one at the end of the show. Today on the show, however, we will be talking about all conference finals, the NHL playoffs where they're at, NBA playoffs where they're at. We're going to be talking some coaching news, Brad Stevens, Dwayne Casey, some part-time coaching news possibly out of the NFL. And I want to talk about this Wayne Rooney story, possibly signing with DC United. Stephen Goff earlier today wrote a great piece on it in the Washington Post, and we will use some of his information as we talk about this potential signing for DC United of Wayne Rooney, which at this point seems all but signed, sealed, and delivered. Let's start off with the Stanley Cup playoffs today, however. They're in the conference finals right now. Tampa Bay Lightning is taking on the Washington Capitals, and the Winnipeg Jets are taking on the Vegas Golden Knights, the expansion team. Great season for them so far, making it into the conference finals. But we'll start off on the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Washington Capitals. And I'll tell you, the thing that I like about this series is that for so many years now, the Washington Capitals have been this dominant regular season force. I mean, just great seasons. Alex Ovechkin and the guys have just been putting up great regular season point totals. And look, y'all notice, I'm going to be real about it, I'm not a big hockey guy. I do pay attention. Playoff hockey is my favorite hockey. I enjoy attending hockey live. But it is not the sport that I continuously follow day in and day out. I am going to report it for you guys, and I'm going to do my best to do that. But I can tell you, what I remember from the last few years is the Capitals running into the Penguins. They got them a time or two. Most of the time they didn't. The Penguins have won some titles. Washington probably should have won some titles. And they've underachieved. So what I like about this series right here, in the conference finals, the Lightning, who have a history, they've won a Stanley Cup, taking on the Capitals, but the Capitals are putting it on them. In the first two games, the Capitals have outscored them 10-4. You got the next game coming up on Tuesday at Washington. The next two are at Washington. So those first two were in Tampa Bay, and Washington went in there and put it on them. I like to finally see, it seems like this team is getting over whatever their hump was. Whatever I mean, maybe it was they just needed to beat Pittsburgh again, and they accomplished that. And now they can play a little more free without the stress. They're covering the ice and passing. It's hard for me to get into the mind of what a hockey player would be thinking. I've never played hockey. I can stay on my feet on ice skates. But this is definitely a series I'll be watching for the rest of the way through. I'll be tuning in tomorrow night to see if the Capitals can go up 3-0. If they're really going to continue to put it on the Lightning. I mean, I would love to see it. I would. It's fun to see winners win. It's fun to see underdogs win. After a while, seeing winners win can get old. Seeing the underdog win never gets old. And in this case, I just want to see the Capitals make it at least to the finals, and then we'll see what happens. On the other side, they would face, if they made it, the winner of the Winnipeg Jets versus the Vegas Golden Knights. And Winnipeg is up on that in that series 1-0. Second game, game 2, is tonight in Winnipeg. It should be kicking off right about now, actually, over on NBC Sports. So go check that out if you are, a hockey fan, a Jets fan, a Golden Knights fan. You don't have anything to do right now and you're sick of me bumbling about hockey. Go check it out. Ain't no thing. You can come back and listen to my show anytime. You can go to Real Deal Sports Talk with KP.com. You can check us out on Facebook, Real Deal Sports Talk with KP.com. We're on Twitter, Real Deal KVP. You can find us in the Googleverse. We're out there. But everything we do on this show can be found through the website, www.realdealsportstalkwithkp.com. If you go there, brief interlude. We'll come back to the finals in a minute. Let's talk about the website. We're going to go there. You got the players, so you can listen to the shows live, or you can listen to them after they've been recorded. You have our social media feeds. You have a way to contact us. It's a couple different forms there. You have the calendar and upcoming events. On Thursday this week, I'm going to go into the local audition for 104.3 The Fan, and I'm going to do my best to see, if I can't get a hosting gig there. On Friday this week, I'm doing a show with a special group of kids that I work with during the day. They are my tech squad at Eagleton Elementary in Denver Public Schools. And we're going to get them on the air a little bit, let them talk about who their favorite players and teams are, and, just be on the radio as kids. So that'll be a special show we're doing on Friday. Our text line, you can always reach out through the text line, 720-515-5597. And, of course, you can email the show at rdst.wkp@gmail.com. And please, get at me. Educate me on these playoffs with the NHL. Let me know why Washington isn't going to pull out the sweep on Tampa Bay up 2-0 going home. Let me know why Winnipeg can hold off the Vegas Golden Knights and go up 2-0 tonight, heading back to Vegas on Wednesday. Because I need to know. Educate me. Please educate me. I love hockey. It's like I said, it's not the game that I follow day in and day out, but it's a great sport. It's a lot of action. It's really fun live. And the playoff hockey, there's not a lot better than playoff hockey. Let me tell you that right now. In all of sports, there's not a lot better than playoff hockey. Moving on to the other set of conference finals going on right now, and that's the NBA side, where you have Cleveland taking on the Celtics, maybe, but we'll get to that in a minute. And then tonight, you got Houston and Golden State kicking off. And their game kicks off here locally in Denver about 7 o'clock. So 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific time. That should be a great game. Could be a lot of points in that series. Let me call it now before it goes. I'm going to take Golden State to win it in 7. I think this goes 7. Honestly, it could go either way, but I will go with Golden State to make their 4th straight finals appearance, beating Houston in 7. In this other series that was played yesterday, Game 1, on Mother's Day, to everyone's dismay who tuned in to watch this pitiful game by the Cleveland Cavaliers as they went into Boston and got beat 108 to 83, and it wasn't ever that close, let me tell you. I don't know what it was. I was watching this game, and I tweeted out, I said, one of these teams is playing playoff basketball, and the other team is going practice speed. And I couldn't figure it out. There was no hustle on defense from Cleveland. They weren't going for loose balls. It's like they weren't interested. They were just going through the motions, picking and choosing. They couldn't hit an open shot if you paid them yesterday. Boston's playing hard. They're hitting their shots. I mean, it was unbelievable to watch the difference in the intensity, in the want to of these two teams yesterday. And if you look at the stats, you just go down the stat sheet, and for Cleveland, you're like, where are the stats? Kevin Love, okay, he had 17 points, 8 rebounds. Okay, LeBron had 7 rebounds, 9 assists, 15 points. 5 of 16 from the field. Kevin Love, 5 of 14 from the field. They couldn't hit an open three-pointer yesterday. 4 of 26 from three-point. I mean, they hit half of those. And it's a completely different game, even with as well as Boston played the entire time. So give Boston their credit. They went out there, they said, we're not the underdogs, and they gave everything they had, and they put it on a team that was not interested, that had no hustle, that had no want to. LeBron James said after the game he had zero fear, or what was it he said? He had no worries, 0 worries at this point in the series. Now, he's been in a lot of playoff series. We know that. He's been to the 8 straight finals. We know that. We know he continues to break playoff records year after year, series after series, game after game. But the stats in this game, 15 points, 9 assists. It's like he was conserving energy. It's like he was trying to get everybody else involved and let them do their thing, and that just never took off. At some point, it got embarrassing, and they took him out, I think, with 5 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. They were playing the guys at the end of the bench at the end of the game. And this is a Celtics team, mind you, that does not have Kyrie Irving, that does not have Gordon Hayward on the floor. But you know who they do have? Marquise Morris, 21 points, 10 rebounds. Al Horford, 20 points, 6 assists, 4 rebounds. Jason Tatum, 16 points, broke his streak of 20-point games, 6 rebounds. Terry Rozier, 8 assists, 6 rebounds. Jaylen Brown, 23 points, 8 rebounds. These boys came to play. They're young, they're athletic, they have more players. They're the youngest team to make it to a conference finals, and they made Cleveland look like the little brother. Dominated them. Out-hustled them. More effort. More want to. Better shooting percentage. Now, they didn't kill it from three-point. 11 for 30 from 3-point range. 36%. That's not fantastic. It's good. It'll get you there. Especially when the other team shoots 15%. Cleveland got him at the free throw line. And overall, the Celtics shoot 51%. I mean, that's just no defense. You saw mistake after mistake. No hustle, not getting back on fast breaks. Guys staying in the backcourt complaining when they got hit. LeBron. But then I read a story today. I read Doug Gottlieb's response or reaction to the game. And he likened it to Muhammad Ali's rope-a-dope. And if you think back over the years, LeBron has had these teams that seem to take games off in playoff series, which is not something we're used to. We're used to teams going for it in the playoffs, playing hard. You don't give up a game because you know there's more games out there. You win it in 4. You win it as fast as you can. But there's this new way, it seems like, this rope-a-dope mentality, maybe, that you saw with the way the game was played, with the way LeBron played yesterday versus the Celtics. Now, in this game, you saw them make a run and cut that 28-point lead to 14. Then it seemed like everybody kind of dialed it back a little bit again. And by everybody, I mean LeBron. Because the rest of the team wasn't hitting nothing anyway. But like I was alluding to, it's like he was taking his shots. Let me get this pass here and see how they're going to react. Let me take this shot over here and have him shoot from this side. We'll see how the defense reacts. Now maybe that's the reason why LeBron's teams, whether it be the Cavaliers, whether it be the Miami Heat, after these blowout games, come back and demolish the team almost every time. Or come back after a blowout in the regular season and put up another big game. Because they're trying stuff. It's almost like they're using it as preseason football. Let's try some stuff, like a scrimmage. Like I said, practice speed. The Celtics came in with a great game plan. They executed that game plan. So regardless if the rope-a-dope strategy is what they were doing or trying or decided to go to after they started so cold and like I said, couldn't be paid to hit an open shot, everybody could have left the arena and Cleveland was not hitting an open shot yesterday. And to the refs' accord, they called the game straight up. I have no problem with the way the refs called game one of that series. None at all. They were a non-factor in the way that game was played. But there was something about the way that game was played that didn't make for good TV, and I would have been upset, not just because my team lost if I was a Cleveland fan, but just upset with everything I saw. Even if I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt that they basically took the night off to see how Boston would react to certain things, and they were rope-a-doping them. We'll see if that comes to fruition. They have another game coming up. Game 2 is tomorrow night in Boston. So we'll see what happens there. I mean, looking at the stats, I kind of got to lean with Doug Gottlieb, and that makes more sense to me that something like that would happen. But, I mean, Tristan Thompson, okay, you got your 11 rebounds, but you did nothing else. Rodney Hood, nothing. Clarkson, nothing. Calderon, nothing. Osman didn't play to the last 5 minutes. Jeff Green did not come to this party the same way he came to the party against Toronto. Larry Nance Jr., who knows if he's going to... What did he get, 4 minutes at the end of the game? Didn't do nothing. George Hill, I expected more out of after the trade coming over. Kyle Korver was off. You can expect that not to happen in every game of this series. And I'm not making excuses and saying, oh, you know, all these things, if they were different, the game wouldn't have been that way. But they were. And Boston earned it, and they took it to them, and they got a 1-0 lead. So Cleveland and LeBron, you now have to win 4 out of 6. Boston's got 3 out of 6. That matters in the conference finals. That matters when you're facing that good of a team. Now tonight, Houston taking on Golden State, the number 1 overall seed in the West, taking on the number 2 seed in the West. Steph is back. Everybody's presumably healthy. I haven't heard anybody out tonight or any news about, you know, it going down like that. They're in Houston, as Houston had the number 1 record in all of the NBA this season. Starts off at 9 Eastern. You listen to our ESPN radio. Watch it on TNT. Follow it on your phone, your social media, what have you. And you know, I'm taking Golden State. What can I say? Weak move, weak sauce, right? That's weak sauce. Just taking Golden State in this one. Go out on a limb and take the Rockets. Trust me, there's a big part of me that wants the Rockets, wants Chris Paul, Capella, James Harden to get this one. I would love to get James Harden on the show. I found out recently I got a connection to him, and we're going to see what can happen. But I would love to get James Harden on the show after he made it to the finals. After the season that he's had. After the season he had last year offensively. And the team gets better. I'd like to talk to him about Houston's philosophy of taking three-pointers or layups, no intermediate jump shots. What's the reasoning behind that? I'd love to know. I'd love to pick his brain. That'd be great. But to beat a man, you got to beat the man. To beat a champ, you got to beat the champ, as Ric Flair said. And Golden State, it's their league right now. They're the team to beat. They may not have LeBron, the best player in the world, the greatest of his era, but they're the team to beat right now. I'm looking forward to this one. I think this will be a much better series, more entertaining for the fans to watch than the Boston and Cleveland series has turned out to be after the first game. So tune in tonight. Check it out. We'll talk about all these series, all the NHL playoff series as they move forward, going through the conference finals into the finals. It's good stuff. And what do we got left on the show? Coaches. Oh, yeah, coaches. Coaches in this series, coaches in the playoffs, coaches in the NFL. So, Brad Stevens. Honestly, I'm shocked he didn't get any votes for Coach of the Year just because of the superstars he lost and the season that Boston had. Now, Toronto, best record in the East. You know, early season, everybody thought, you know, top 3, top 4. And Dwayne Casey, he gets the Coach of the Year. Coaches of the NBA vote Dwayne Casey and not Brad Stevens. Dwayne Casey, he kept his team together. They were mostly healthy for the entire year. Didn't lose Gordon Hayward. Didn't lose Kyrie Irving. And I'm going to put it out there. To me, Brad Stevens is the second best coach in the NBA behind Popovich. It's remarkable what he's able to do with the talent that he has and the way he's able to use the players to the best of their ability each and every night. Game in and game out. He's getting production out of guys that some of us definitely did not think that team was going to be worth anything without the two superstars. Even with Al Horford, even with bringing over Morris. I know there's plenty of us. I'm not the only one that didn't think Boston was in for it after they went through their hard times. So I think Brad Stevens has done a masterful job. Now, Dwayne Casey, you led your team to the number 1 seed. You won your first round matchup. You ran up against Cleveland. You got swept. You had no control over them mentally. They didn't put up much of a fight. And as Coach of the Year, you now find yourself without a coaching job. Now, there's rumors out there he might take this job, he might take that job. But unbelievable, you can go from being Coach of the Year to just a few days later, within a week, you're out of a job. Because the expectations when you're the number 1 seed is you don't get swept out of the playoffs. Okay, granted, that should be an expectation. If you're the number 1 seed, you're not going to get swept. You're going to be competitive. You're not going to look like another team or another player has the mental edge over you. And that probably was the thing that did it for Dwayne Casey, was his team looked beat. His team looked mentally out of it. And now he finds himself, shockingly to me, on the outside. That doesn't happen very often where the Coach of the Year doesn't have the job coming back. George Karl last time, but the Nuggets got rid of not only the Coach of the Year, but the GM of the Year, Usai Ujiri, who actually made this call here and got rid of Dwayne Casey. Small world. How Usai Ujiri happens to be slightly connected to the last 2 coaches of the year who then lost their job. Other coaches, this part-time, I don't know if you guys have heard this, but the idea, some of these teams in the NFL now are reaching out to former players, former team greats, former Pro Bowlers, former All-Pros to come in and be coaches, to be mentors, to be interns. There's the intern program. There's other guys who come and help out for a week or 2 here or there during OTAs. It's an interesting concept. I kind of like it, especially for certain guys on certain teams. And the one most recently being reported here in Denver by Mike Kliss, I believe, is that the Broncos have reached out to DeMarcus Ware to come be a part-time coach over the summer, work with more than likely their number one pick, Bradley Chubb. And if you've watched video, if you've listened to DeMarcus talk to guys about pass rushing, he needs to be a coach. I think he will be a coach when he decides that's what he wants to do. Remember, he's only been retired for a year. Maybe he's still enjoying being around but not being around, if you know what I mean. And this could be the caveat. This could be that door that's opened that gets him to go back to that world. I think it would be a great move for the Broncos. If they can make that happen, if they can get him back in the locker room around the guys, around a Shaq Barrett and a Shane Ray to keep them motivated, to keep them working hard, knowing that the Broncos brought in this number one pick at their position, to get Von Miller's head right and just keep him going and working right, and to teach the rookie Bradley Chubb as much of the knowledge in his head as he can, that would be amazing for the Broncos defense. That's like having a cheat code, basically. That's the equivalent of a cheat code in a video game, would be to have a guy like DeMarcus Ware come out to your field and teach your young defensive ends, outside linebackers, pass rushing moves, run game moves, how to set the edge, what keys to look at, where you're looking at feet-wise, hand-wise, how he dips his shoulder, what you can do in all these different situations that they haven't experienced yet and or may not have looked at the way he has in his career. And you can apply that to each and every team. Have a guy like Jerry Rice come out and be your receivers coach and work with your receivers for a couple of weeks. Have a Kevin Green come out. Have a Bruce Matthews come out. These guys not only look up to these players, but they would listen to them and they would absorb it all so fast. So I'm fully on board with this new trend in the NFL, bringing these players back. I think it would be great for the Broncos if they could get DeMarcus Ware to come in and do his thing with that team. I would love to see some stuff happen like that in Detroit. Bring Robert Porcher back. Let him and Ziggy work together, right? Like, what would that do? Let him and Kerry Hyder work together a little bit. When Calvin's ready, let him come back. Work with the guys. Have Barry come back and work with Amir Abdullah and Theo Reddick and teach them some stuff as little scat backs. Not the same type of players, but you get the feel that I'm going with here. And by the way, Barry's a good coach. Barry was at the football camp when I was a kid, that David Tate football camp in Denver, Colorado, way back in the early 90s, and Barry was doing position drills for the running backs. And at that time, I was playing linebacker and offensive line mostly. And I was like, forget it. I want to play running back and meet Barry Sanders enough. I'm going over there, and I'm going to do the running back drills. It got me, it got me motivated. It changed my alliance from the Broncos to the Lions as a kid. But it also got me some playing time at fullback that season. So you never know. You never know what coaching from one of these guys or the right guy will do. So I am all for it. And I'm excited to see how it goes moving forward. Another thing moving forward right now, this Wayne Rooney situation. Wayne Rooney. Say that 5 times fast. Well-known name in the football world. I'm not going to call it the dreaded S word, because that's not what it is. That's just the word we use here in the United States. But well-known name worldwide in the football world. Played for Manchester United, the English national team. I believe Everton currently has his contract or rights. And now it's rumored that Wayne Rooney is possibly going to sign with a team here in the MLS, DC United. Now Stephen Goff, about 6 hours ago, earlier today, maybe 6-7 hours ago, wrote a piece for the Washington Post, And it's a good piece, details it, kind of breaks it down a little bit, it has some good information and numbers in there. But as I was reading it, I started thinking age-wise, money-wise, European soccer player coming over, end of his career kind of. Who does this remind me of? Is this kind of what David Beckham opened the door to? These English league players, these European league players, these South American possibly league players coming over and finishing their careers in the MLS. Because they would still have a lot to offer currently for an MLS team. Not necessarily in the high-powered, more competitive, super football leagues that are over in Europe, in South America, and around the rest of the world, for that matter. But at 32 years old, still can play the game on a high level. Not putting up the same numbers he always has, but still putting up good numbers from what Stephen Goff writes. And he could play as early as July 10th if the deal goes through. They pay the transfer fee to Everton, and he signs his contract, which seems like might be around $5 million per until 2020. Now, you get this international name. What comes with that? What comes with that is branding. What comes with that is recognition. What would you need that for from an aging player? Turns out DC United also is getting ready to move in a new stadium, Audi Field in Southwest DC. So you're getting ready to open this new stadium. You're MLS. You're in the nation's capital. What better than to get a well-recognized world name to come play for your team? Because now you're bringing in press from all over the place. Because all these teams that he plays in Europe are going to be sending people to see how he's playing here. The Everton people who own his contract and his rights now are going to be sending people to see how he plays here. Now, I don't think if Wayne Rooney comes here, he's going to necessarily cut off all ties with football in other parts of the world, in England for that matter, the English national team, or possibly even a return to another club outside of the MLS season. Who knows? These soccer players, their endurance is crazy. They can play all the time. They have to laugh when they hear baseball players and basketball players and hockey players, well, maybe not hockey, and football players talk about playing too much. It's amazing how these guys can just go, 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 go. And personally, I'm excited. I was excited when David Beckham came over. I would be excited to see Wayne Rooney come over. It'd be great to see some of these other Messi or, some of these other guys come over and play. Because, again, soccer's not a game that I follow all the time. I'll follow the World Cup. I'll follow the big-name guys. But there's so much soccer. Ooh, I said it multiple times. Football. There's so much football out there that it's more fun, more entertaining for me to watch the top players do that. So I do watch Olympics. I do watch the World Cup when it comes around. I apologize for saying the S word there. All right, so we do not have a show this Thursday. We will have a show Wednesday night. Thursday night, I will be over at Brothers at 1920 Market Street in Denver from 6 to 8, trying to throw my name in the ring for the Corona Fans Dream Job auditions with 104.3 The Fan. It's going to be a good time. I don't know if you're allowed to audition more than once, but you can go to their site if you are also interested and see what other auditions are coming up. If you want to come out Thursday night and audition with me, let's do it. Let's do the thing. We have caught up on all of the conference finals. We have caught up on some coaching situations. And we caught up on Wayne Rooney to the DC United. Until next time, you know how we do. And I'm going to leave you with this track by the Barbarians, Blood Money, Freestyle by Vivid Scientific. We out.
Vivid Scientific. You know what this is. It's bar work. Look. My murderous ways are not restrained by these pages. I satiate my rage by giving way to my anger. Hope these hating ass niggas is staying prayed up, cause I'ma fill up a few graves before the day's up. So fuck you and the horse you rode when you came came from. You saying that you cold is the quickest way to get blazed up. I don't give a fuck about none of that fucking gay stuff. I'ma say fuck so many times you think I gave one. Cause ain't one of these niggas fucking with me, dummy. Every bag I collect on rap is considered blood money. My team will rummage through the city like the unsung. Don't know differences, we got dicks to punish the sluts tummy. Ain't nothing funny, I'm covering when I'm more gummy. The force freezing these niggas that try to run from me. My young sonny know it's poppin', never wave jumping. I'ma stay dropping that pain on them. Swing the box cutter like a glaive, so make way for the blade runner. Fillet away your face and then I ate from it. I'm a straight hunter. These niggas thinking they safe from him. First nigga that say something to get his face punted with the steel toe. I kick in your fronts like I'm trying to make a field goal off your lit dome. I don't give a fuck about what you got in your billfold. Money ain't gonna stop me from when I'm locked in my kill mode. Yeah, this is what we're fucking call battle rap on wax. I guarantee these niggas don't want no part of that. Niggas go with nowhere fast, spitting that barn rap. It's like they hauling ass on a Northern track. You all the way. Yeah, this is lyrical elite. Yes, I'm probably scaring the shit out these weak niggas. And anybody thinking they can beat, and I gladly get on the beat with them. Cause I don't turn down meals, that's free dinner. No sneak diss, and I bring it direct with each sentence. Vivid scientific and spitting like all his teeth missing. Yeah, so who can see vivid? See vivid, see vivid.